recording.
You ready for me to go too?
Yep.
Alright, bear with me just a few seconds. Okay, and good afternoon, everyone. We are now on the record. Please be aware that the recording equipment in use is very sensitive and may pick up whispering and private conversations not intended to be on the record. All conversations will be captured and transcribed as part of the deposition transcript unless the parties agree to go off the record. Please indicate when you'd like to go off the record, and upon agreement by all parties, recording will be suspended. Will the witness please say and spell your first and last name?
Michael Taylor, Michaeltaylor.
Thank you, and for the record, the witness has provided his Florida driver's license, which I have verified.
All right.
Oh, one moment. May you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much, counsel. You may proceed.
All right. You've already given your name for the record. Let me introduce myself. My name is Scott Alexander. I'm an attorney for Officer Andrew Conquest, the defendant in this case. We're here for your deposition today. Have you ever given deposition testimony before?
Yes.
All right. How many times?
Once.
And what was that in relation to?
It was in relation to a federal lawsuit against Miami, the city of Miami Beach, just south of here.
Yeah. Okay. And I saw some of the video associated with that. Do you remember the name of the lawyer that took your deposition in that case?
His name was Eric Friday.
And did he work for an outside law firm, or was he employed by the city of Miami Beach as a city attorney?
Object to forum. It's not really. I have that right to do that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you could object to it.
He's just a lawyer that took a case that was associated with an organization. Yes.
Was he the city's attorney or your attorney?
He was the organization's attorney.
Okay. And that organization sued Miami Beach?
They were in a lawsuit with them.
Okay. Is that lawsuit still pending?
The lawsuit has been dismissed.
All right. And because it's a governmental entity, Florida does not allow confidential settlements. Do you know what the terms of the settlement or resolution of the case were?
The very little bit I do know is that something was not filed in a time, actually objective forum, but yes, it was, something was not filed in a timely manner to that effect.
And the judge dismissed it?
I believe that's how it went down, yes.
Okay. And about when did you give your deposition in that case?
2020, I believe.
Do you know if the deposition transcript was ever filed with the court?
I do not.
All right. Like you may recall from the prior occasion you gave deposition testimony, I'm going to ask you questions. If you would respond verbally to the questions, avoid uh-huhs, any types of nonverbal responses, so that our court reporter can get an accurate record. I may ask you questions today that you don't know the answer to or you don't recall the answer to. And if that occurs, just tell me I don't know or I don't recall.
Yep.
We don't want you to guess or speculate incorrectly under oath. It's important that we talk one at a time. So sometimes when we're having casual conversation, we jump in on each other, but in a deposition, we need to try not to do that. So let me get my question completely out before you answer, and in turn, I'll wait for you to completely answer before I ask another question. This isn't like TV courtroom where I interrupt you and say, yes or no, and do things like that.
Absolutely.
You can answer to your heart's content. If you don't understand a question you're asked, let me know you don't understand it. I don't think we're going to be here more than an hour, hour and a half, but if you need a break at any time, let me know you need a break. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Where do you currently reside?
Port St. Lucie.
And for how long have you lived in Port St. Lucie?
I want to say roughly about 8 to 10 years.
Married or single?
Married.
Kids?
Yes.
And I don't need their names, but just their ages.
3 years old now. Just turned 3.
Twins?
No, just my daughter.
Okay. And where'd you go to high school?
Atlantic High School in Port Orange, Florida.
Did you graduate?
Yes.
What class?
1998.
You attend college after high school?
I did, but not after. It was a few years after I was in high school. after I graduated.
Took a little break.
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you go to college?
Daytona Beach Community College, or Daytona State College.
Did you earn any degree or certificate from that school?
No.
Do you have a college degree?
I have 2.5 years, and I'm probably about 15 credits away from a degree.
Where are you enrolled now?
Not enrolled.
Okay. Do you plan on achieving your degree?
As a chef, I don't really need that degree.
Okay.
It's just a piece of paper.
That was my next question, is what do you do for a living? You've answered that you're a chef. Where do you work?
Now?
Yes.
I am actually, I just do YouTube. I worked at District Table for over 1.25 years. And it's just a restaurant.
All right. So are you actively working as a chef now?
A couple days here and there when they need help. If he calls me and says I need help, I'm like, okay.
Do you support yourself from your YouTube channel?
For the most part, I do have a sticker business that I sell stickers and things of that nature.
Right. And the YouTube channel involves primarily content advocating for open carry?
Government accountability.
Does your YouTube channel have any content in the area of government accountability other than in the realm of open carry?
Yes.
And what other areas do you?
First Amendment. I guess you would call them audits, where I hold the government accountable for the records that I try to get. Like I do a lot of records requests. Same thing with Bell Harbour. I did a records request with them, and it took me, I think, 3 months to obtain those records, and that's actually against Florida law. But, you know.
Have you personally ever been a party to a lawsuit other than this one?
Other than the Miami, no.
Was the Miami one was that lawsuit filed in your name or in the name of the organization?
It was the organization.
Okay, but as far as in your name,
Never.
never sued or been sued?
No.
All right, so when you make public records requests and it takes too long for them to respond, and like you said, that could constitute a violation of Florida law, have you filed any public records actions?
I have not filed a suit for a public records. Usually when they catch wind of this is the violation, their supervisor or thereof usually expedites whatever record is taking too long. And I've never had to sue anybody for those. Not yet, anyway.
I know this sounds naive, but how does someone earn money from YouTube?
Views. Basically, it breaks down to views and minutes watched. So if it's a 30-minute video and they only watch 5 minutes, I would probably make less money than if they watched the entire 30 minutes.
So when I watch your YouTube videos, you made money off that, right?
Correct.
There's ads on the video?
Depending on the length of the video, if you see ads in between the video and it's like, oh, you're watching the video and then it jumps to an ad, yes, that ad, as you watch it, I do make money off that. But it's not something I contract with YouTube. It's something that YouTube does on their own. I just say, hey, put these ads in there, and they do whatever they want.
All right. And I meant to ask you this when we were corresponding before, but I've been corresponding with you at Stouts Pro Se Litigation. What is that?
That is a friend of mine that helps. He helped me understand the pro se litigation.
Okay. So when I send something to Mark Stout, is it going to him or is it going to you?
It's going to both of us.
Okay. Because when I've been sending emails to Mark Stouts, I've been assuming I've been communicating with you directly because
he then sends it to me.
All right. So in one of our emails, either you or Mark referred to yourself as an activist. You remember that email that we exchanged?
Correct.
Do you consider yourself an activist?
I do.
And what do you consider yourself an activist for?
Gun rights. I do help explain to the entire state of Florida that if you don't have a concealed weapons permit, this is one of the only ways that you can actually conceal carry or openly carry under the law without a permit. And then once again, I also explain that there are two different classifications. If law enforcement does not understand the law and you get caught with a concealed firearm and they don't know that law, it's a felony.
Mhm.
If they don't know the law and you get caught openly carrying, it's a misdemeanor. The two differences, I always recommend open carry because of the charge.
An open carry violation is a misdemeanor, or a concealed violation is a felony.
Correct. If they don't know the law, and then they're gonna have to deal with the, payment of trying to get out of jail. Felony compared to misdemeanor are two different worlds.
And in the case of, that we're here about today involving Officer Conquest, this encounter that you had with him culminated in an arrest, correct?
Correct.
And were you arrested for a misdemeanor, or felony, or both?
Correct. Misdemeanor.
Two misdemeanors, right?
Yes. I believe it was open carry and resisting without violence.
Right. Was that the first time in your life you'd ever been arrested?
No.
How many times have you been arrested?
I want to say 2, maybe possibly 3, and most of it was all misdemeanor marijuana charges
As an adult or as a juvenile?
as an adult.
And what agencies arrested you?
I want to say it was Daytona Beach and Port Orange, and these are all in Lucie County.
Is the arrest by Officer Conquest the first and only time in your life you've ever been arrested for a firearm offense?
A direct firearm, yes.
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 You've never been convicted of a felony, correct?
No.
And have you ever been convicted of a crime involving dishonesty, like fraud, forgery, or anything
No.
like that? How much time did you spend in custody as a result of Officer Conquest's arrest of you?
I think the entire, from the arrest until I was released on bond, was roughly about 24 hours.
You were arrested on the causeway or
The bridge.
The bridge in Bay Harbor and Bal
Yeah.
Harbor.
Right there on the Oliver Canal, the
Yeah.
bridge.
I've seen the video.
Mm.
All right. And when you were arrested, where were you taken?
I was taken to their substation in the mall. I don't know exactly the name of the mall or anything.
Bal Harbor Mall.
Yeah,
Shops in Bal Harbor.
Yeah, there's something to that effect.
And how long were you held at the substation?
I was held there until I had to use the restroom, and then he transported me, I believe, to their police department that was under construction. And sorry about that. He transferred from there to there and back to the substation at the mall, and I think that was it.
Did you go to the other station because you had to use the restroom?
Correct.
There was no restroom facility at the substation?
No, I guess not inside their substation in the mall. They didn't want me to use the restroom in the mall area. They had to, take me there. And during that event of him transporting me, I was not buckled in. He slammed on the brakes at some point, and my head hit his, I guess, the plexiglass while I was in cuffs. And that was at transportation, and then on the way back, then he subsequently buckled me in after that.
Okay. Were you booked into the Dade County Jail?
Yes.
Okay, Dade County Jail does a medical screening of everyone on intake, right?
At that point, but I did have medical come to assist me with my shoulder injury that I was talking about.
Is the shoulder injury that stemmed from your Miami Beach arrest? Or Miami Beach detention, I'll maybe rephrase
Correct.
that.
Yes, it was from the Miami Beach detention.
Yeah, I saw the video, you made a complaint on your video that your shoulder was injured, right?
Correct.
Okay. As a result of any actions of Officer Conquest, are you claiming to have sustained any physical injuries?
More I mean, depending on how you think of physical, it's more the lack of caring for my well-being while in detention.
All right, and how did Officer Conquest fail to care for your well-being while you were in detention?
Like I said, by not restraining me properly while transporting me to use the restroom, and then as well as not, I can't say that there's a statutory right, but whenever somebody complains of injuries, usually they try to assist in those injuries or those complaints of the citizen. And everything was ignored until I had told him to get paramedics to assist me.
Well, he did call for paramedics at the scene of your arrest, right?
No.
Did-
It was only when I was at their substation. That's when I requested it,
And when you requested it, were they called in?
yes.
Did the paramedics render any care or treatment to you?
They couldn't,
Why?
because I was handcuffed and they could not handcuff me in a position to help with the pain.
You had shoulder pain
Correct.
as a result of being handcuffed?
For, I believe, the 45 minutes or so from the time I was detained in handcuffs until the end of everything, until I was in Dade County. I complained of shoulder. I told him about my shoulder.
Okay. And have you received any diagnosis from a medical provider as it relates to your shoulder?
The only thing they can say is I need to go to get MRIs, and the next thing is probably going to be surgery.
And who have you treated with or consulted with as it relates to your shoulder?
It is going to be with urgent care. It's in the town I live. I couldn't tell you the name.
Urgent care in Port St. Lucie?
It's right near my house in Port St. Lucie, yes.
Okay, if I send you an email for the address of that urgent care facility, will you be able to look it up and provide it to me?
Yes.
How many times have you sought care or treatment from that facility?
I believe twice.
And have you been given any diagnosis?
Just rotator cuff, and ligaments type of thing.
Now, a torn rotator cuff can only be confirmed on MRI. Have you had a shoulder MRI yet?
No, I have not. And that's why I say the MRI that's what they were trying to tell me that's the next step, but, all right, this is, now we're going back into the Miami incident. When I was in Miami, I did have health insurance, and when the incident happened, I went to try to get an MRI, and then I either quit my job or lost my job. I can't remember. It's been like 3 years, 2-3 years. And so when I lost my insurance, they said I couldn't get the MRI. So everything is based off this MRI, and I haven't been able to get an MRI.
And I don't represent Miami Beach, and it's not,
Yeah.
what they did to you is not particularly concerning to me unless you're making that claim against Officer Conquest for something that arose out of what Miami Beach did. Are you claiming that Officer Conquest did anything to cause any type of internal derangement to your shoulder?
It didn't help the shoulder.
All right. Do you know if a run report or a fire rescue report was created or generated in conjunction with them seeing you at Bal Harbour?
I do believe so, yes.
Do you have a copy?
I do not.
Have you received a bill?
I do not believe, I don't believe I did. Once again, I was at the police station when they showed up, so I couldn't tell you. Because like I said, I was being transported to Miami-Dade.
And the visits you had at urgent care for your shoulder, were those before or after your incident with Officer Conquest?
I had some before, and I don't believe I went to the urgent care after, only because I knew that they were gonna tell me the same thing. They were gonna say you need to go have an MRI, because there's nothing urgent care can really do.
Do you have any medical visits scheduled right now into the future as it relates to your shoulder?
As of right now, no.
And other than urgent care near your home in Port St. Lucie, have you Have you been anywhere else for any consultation or treatment of your shoulder?
The only thing I've been to a doctor for was an accident about a month ago, where a deer was in the middle of the road, and I totaled my car, and I had a hematoma on my ankle, had a hematoma on my lip, and shoulder pains then as well from the accident.
What city did that happen in?
I want to say it was Arcadia. It was on I think Highway 72.
Okay.
If it's not Arcadia, it's somewhere in that area, and I did get a bill for that
When did that accident occur?
about a month ago, maybe at the most a month ago.
What hospital were you transported to?
I want to say Arcadia
Okay.
Hospital. I really, I was in so much pain, and then they gave me morphine, and I don't remember much. Once I got to the hospital, I don't remember much.
All right, so from the time you were arrested by Officer Conquest until you left Bal Harbour custody, can you tell me how long that was in hours?
I want to say maybe 3 to 4, maybe, possibly.
And then when you were taken to Dade County Jail?
That was the remaining 20 hours from me trying to bond out and going through their booking process.
As part of booking into Dade County Jail, were you given a medical screening?
For COVID, yes. And they were on a 24-hour or 70. It was either a 24-hour or 72-hour lockdown, where you were, put in your cell with however many people, and you stay there until their COVID screening or whatever.
Okay. Were you injured at all while you were in Dade County Jail?
No,
Did you get any fights, altercations?
no,
Were you mistreated by any of the guards?
no.
And you think you were in Dade County Jail from intake till release for about 20 hours?
Ish, yeah. It was the next day.
How did you arrange for release?
I had bond posted from my wife, I believe, and then I had a friend of mine pick me up from the jail.
Okay, so the money your wife posted, that's from your personal finances, you and your
Correct.
wife's. And how much did she spend?
I think it was $200. I think the complete total bond was $1,500 total, and she paid $200 to the bondsman.
And who picked you up?
A friend of mine.
And what's his or her name?
Objective form. His name's Stephen Jenkins.
All right, when Mr. Jenkins picked you up, did you have any visible signs of injury on you? Any cuts, bruises, scrapes, abrasions, anything that was visible?
Not to him, no.
And were you in any pain or discomfort at the time you were picked up by Mr. Jenkins?
Just exhausted and shoulder pain.
Did he take you to a medical facility?
No.
Took you-
He took me to retrieve my my property, my keys, my firearms.
At Bal Harbour?
Correct.
Was there any property that was taken from you at the time of your arrest that you did not get back?
My firearms and my keys.
You got that back, right?
I got it back eventually, yes.
Right. Was there any property that you did not get back?
That was not damaged. I received everything back, but there was damaged property.
How was it damaged?
It was broken.
What was?
My I guess you call it a selfie stick. It's a attach it to a camera, and it was broken in half.
What does a selfie stick cost?
That one roughly about $40, $34. It kind of came in a kit type of thing.
Okay. And after you, Mr. Jenkins took you to retrieve your property, did you go back home?
No, I couldn't actually. When I went initially to get it, there was nobody there to give me my property, so I actually had to stay and wait. I think it was like 2 to 3 hours before there was somebody in property for me to get my property back.
From Bal Harbour, did you go home?
Yes.
And have you sought any medical treatment since you returned home?
From that day, no.
Did you have to make any court appearances in Dade County?
Only on Zoom.
Did you have a public defender or privately hired attorney?
I had a private attorney.
And his or her name?
To be honest, I would have to pull that up. It's definitely on the docket. I can't remember his name.
That's okay.
Flasterstein.
Right. He had something, I reviewed the court docket, he has something in the name of his firm that has something to do with guns, right?
I believe it. I don't recall. He was recommended from the lawyer from the Miami incident because the lawyer I had at the time didn't have time to take my case. His name's Noel Flasterstein.
That's it.
Yeah.
And with his assistance, you were able to get the charges against you dropped?
He didn't have to do anything. We went to the first arraignment. I pled not guilty. And then I got a notice again for another arraignment, and when I showed up, that's when they dismissed the charges.
So you don't have a criminal record as a result of this arrest, do you agree?
No, I do have a criminal record. If I was to go and try to apply for, let's say, a loan or to rent a house, and I have to sign something saying, have you ever been arrested or convicted? I'd have to answer that, yes, I've been arrested, and it does hinder me in certain aspects of my life.
You would have had to answer yes as to being arrested even had this not occurred, right?
No, if I hadn't been arrested, like physically and booked and charged, if I had not been arrested, things would be completely different, but.
But you've had arrests other than this, right?
Yeah, but not in the time frame that usually these places are asking. Usually it's within the last 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that right now. In the last 3 to 5 years, I've been arrested twice.
Do you consider your Miami Beach situation to be an arrest?
How wouldn't you? My name was put on a docket and I was going through the legal processes of that.
Okay.
So yes, that a detainment, there are differences between detainment and arrest.
Certainly.
So.
Well, from Miami Beach, were you taken to jail?
Oh, Miami? Oh, I'm sorry. You were mentioning Miami. Miami Beach, we were detained for over 2 hours. That is an arrest.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't book us, there were still things that happened.
Right, but if we go on the Dade County Clerk of Court and we put in your name, nothing from the Miami Beach situation is going to show up because there was no case filed, right?
Right. Correct.
For the Bal Harbour arrest, there was a case filed.
Correct.
Okay. But if someone looks it up, it's going to show charges dismissed, right?
I would assume so.
Okay.
They'd have to do some work into it, but yes.
Have you ever gone on the Dade County Clerk's public access terminal to see how your case is disposed of and how it appears to the public?
No.
Have you, in actuality, not hypothetically, have you answered affirmatively on any applications for loans or jobs since your arrest by Officer Conquest that you had this arrest?
I have not, but we were planning on moving. And when the arrest happened, we were planning to move back towards my parents' house, and we're coming up to that 3rd year, I think, where the place that I'm talking about, it was 3 years, and we're planning on moving back to Daytona or Port Orange area where my parents are.
Okay. But thus far, you have not had to disclose this particular arrest on any applications for loans, applications for jobs, or anything of the sort? No. All right. For how long have you been an activist in the realm of open carry?
4 years.
How did you become involved in this?
I almost got robbed while fishing.
read some about it, some men asked you for dinero pronto, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
They were definitely Spanish, and my Spanish isn't the greatest, but I knew what dinero was, and I knew what fast was, or pronto,
All right.
and I knew what they were asking for.
So did you went out and got a gun after that, I take it?
No, my gun was in the car.
You already had a gun.
My gun, I had known about the law. I was just scared to actually express that until your life, or I won't even say my life was almost threatened. I just didn't know what was gonna happen. You never know what's gonna happen when you're faced with people that are willing to take your property or your life.
Where were you fishing when that occurred?
I was fishing underneath a bridge in Fort Pierce, and it was roughly about 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
It's a dangerous time to be out by yourself, right?
In Fort Pierce is one of the top, I'd say, I think top 5 for crimes in the state of Florida. And yes, it is the area is it's a fishing area, but late at night, things change.
Sure. So from that point on, did you open carry when you were fishing?
Every day, every time I go fishing, from that day forward, I've always had a gun concealed or openly carried.
You have a concealed weapons permit?
Yes, I do.
And for how long have you had that?
The crazy thing is after the Miami incident, I received my concealed weapons permit.
The Miami Beach incident?
Correct.
Was it a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. I received this on 6/25/2018, and the incident in Miami was 6/14/2018.
So if you have a concealed weapons permit, why do you open carry when you fish?
To express to people that they have the right. Not everybody has a government permission slip like I didn't have when I was approached, when I was almost robbed.
Do you open carry to exhibit deterrence to people that might want to harm you, or is it a matter of a First Amendment expression?
It's a Second Amendment expression, and it is something when people see firearms, they don't run to that person with a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Guns do deter criminals.
Have you been an avid fisherman your whole life?
Yes,
You have numerous fishing licenses and permits?
yes. I fished on it's called the IFA kayak tour. I fished that kayak tour for almost 2 years. It's a professional kayak tour, if you will. And I've been fishing since I was roughly about 8 years old.
And when you go fishing now, do you typically do that with a GoPro on your head?
I typically carry a GoPro everywhere I go now,
Why?
to document anything and everything that I go out and do, whether it be fishing, government accountability, hanging out with my daughter, hanging out with the family. It's just documenting my life.
All right. From watching your videos and reading posts about you and interviews with you, I take it is your belief that as long as in Florida, if someone is fishing, they can open carry a gun, right?
Correct.
Right. So if someone has a little Ronco pocket fisherman in their back pocket and they're walking through suburbia and West End or Palm Beach Gardens and they want to throw that pocket fisherman into a lake on a golf course, they can open carry, right?
Private property is different. I'd almost say 95% of all my videos, I'm in a public area or public space. There are times that I've walked into places that say no fishing, and the second I see a no fishing sign, I turn around and I walk away. Because when, by law, I would actually, technically, I would be breaking a law with a firearm and trespassing, which is a felony in the state of Florida.
Do you believe that you have to be doing any level of fishing in order to be able to carry a firearm, or any type of fishing?
Doesn't matter. You can go crabbing, you can go with a fish in a hand, a rod and reel. There are numerous levels of fishing that are covered in the fishing regulations of Florida.
So is it it's your interpretation of law that if I just have a net to throw into a lake and catch a fish, as long as I'm on public property, I can carry a firearm while I do that?
Long as that net is not prohibited, like freshwater is completely different than saltwater. To throw a net into freshwater, which I kind of understand some of those laws, netting in freshwater is more illegal than it is in saltwater. Saltwater allows you to do, once again, long as you know the regulations of fishing, which I know most of the regulations of fishing on both sides of the fresh and salt. So long as I'm following the regulations of where I'm going and how I go, then yes, I can, doesn't matter. I can walk from this spot right now all the way to Tallahassee, and nobody can stop me.
So it'd be your interpretation of law, we're in downtown Miami now, that if, as long as you had some fishing equipment on you, even a pocket fisherman, that if you were gonna go cast it over in Biscayne Bay a few blocks from here, that you could walk down the street with an AR-15 strapped to your shoulder, right?
100%.
That's your interpretation of law?
Going to and returning from.
Why an AR-15?
Why not?
Well, you said that you began to open carry as a means of self-defense. I mean, is an AR-15 a weapon that you would use walking down a public street to defend yourself?
Absolutely.
Don't you understand that when people see someone walking, especially in this day and age and what's been going on in the world, that when they see someone walking down the street with an AR-15, it's very scary to them,
Yeah.
right?
In this day and age, I wish there was more people carrying AR-15s to help protect those kids in Parkland, in Uvalde, Buffalo. If there were more armed citizens and there were more people walking around with guns, I definitely think this country would be a lot safer.
So it's your opinion that the answer to gun violence is more guns?
I believe that good people with guns is necessary for this country. Absolutely.
You know what kind of gun was used in Uvalde?
I believe it was an AR-15.
You know what kind of gun was used in Parkland?
AR-15.
In Buffalo too?
AR-15 and a handgun.
Oh.
What was the gun used in? What was the one? We'll skip over that.
All right. So you know the statute, because I've heard you say it a million times, 790.253H.
Correct.
You get that? 790.253H. Can you recite it to me without even looking at it?
Yes, I can primarily tell you exactly what it says, but the 790.25 begins with the lawful possession of firearms. And then it goes into section 3, and section 3 states the provisions of 790.053 and the provisions of 790.06 do not apply in the following instances. And then it goes through a list from A, I believe, all the way down to P or Q. I'm not 100% on the last couple,
Okay.
but it does include section D is for law enforcement, sheriffs, marshals, pretty much anybody that's in the law enforcement field. Section H is fishing, hunting, camping. I believe J is for going to a gun range. There's another one, I can't remember the letter, that involves on your property or your business. There are a few exceptions, but once again, they're exceptions, not a open carry law per se.
And H is the provision that you said involves fishing, camping, and hunting, right?
Correct.
All right. What brought you to Bell Harbor on the date of this incident?
We had just, I think, a few months prior, the governor had just lifted the, some of the bans. Down here, like where I'm at, I am just on the north end of Palm Beach County. In Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, and Monroe County, we're all under a like extreme prohibition about being out in public and things of that nature. And then when the governor made fishing essential, that is when I decided to come back to Miami.
Port St. Lucie to Bell Harbor, about 109 miles, 2 hours and 15 minutes in a car, sound right?
Yeah.
And there are places that you could fish a lot closer to your home than that?
I travel around the state of Florida, open carrying in activism.
Right. The reason you came to Bell Harbor with a fishing pole and a flag that says "Don't tread on me" and an AR-15 and weapons is because you wanted to be confronted by law enforcement there.
No, I actually prefer no law enforcement interactions. My favorite interactions are with the people.
What's the point of carrying the flag? Don't tread on me. Well, here, we'll mark this as Exhibit 1. Tell us what Exhibit 1 is, and then you tell me why.
Exhibit 1 is a American flag crossed with a or the Gadsden flag. It's a mix of the two. This flag represents America, and how the "Don't Tread on Me" flag or the Gadsden flag actually comes before the American flag, or before the the colony flag.
Why bring that to fish?
To let people know that I'm a patriotic American, that I love my rights, and don't mess with me, I won't mess with you.
When you were walking down the bridge in Bal Harbour with a flag like that and carrying an AR-15 strapped to your shoulder, were you trying to make a statement?
I always try to make a statement about my constitutional rights, saying, hey, yes, am I drawing attention to myself? If that's the question. I know that's not what you asked, but am I drawing attention? 100%.
Right.
Do I want the attention to be drawn on me? Yes, I want positive interactions. I want to see the people understand that they have the same right that I have today.
You're aware now that people were calling the police and calling 911 because they're scared, right?
I get it. Trust me, I get people have this nervousness about guns. I get it. Trust me.
And that particular day, I mean, were you actually coming to fish in Bal Harbour, or were you coming there to make a political statement?
I was there just to go fishing at Bal Harbour, to go fishing at the inlet. I went to both sides of the inlet, to be honest. I was on both sides of that inlet, and on, I believe it's the north side of that inlet, as you go out towards the inlet, towards the beach side of that inlet, there's actually a sign that says no fishing. So I then turned and looked to the south side, and I saw it. To me, it looked like two people with fishing poles on the inlet on that side. So I then was like, hey, if they're fishing, I'll go. If I can't fish here, I'll go fish there.
But if was the point of fishing to catch fish?
Yes.
Like, could you catch fish a lot closer to Port St. Lucie than Bal Harbour?
Absolutely.
So the reason to come into Bal Harbour was to make a political statement.
No, to come into Bal Harbour was to sit there and enjoy the beautiful spots of Florida. Like I said, I've traveled around the state. I've traveled to Key West. I've been to Bahia Bridge. I've been to Tampa. I've been to Skyway Bridge. I've been to so many different destinations in Florida. It's for me, it's more of a let's go fishing vacation and to get my activism out there.
And when you do these fishing trips or whatever you call them, you come with the Gadsden flag typically, right?
I've recently since left the flag away only because of the weight. Like I said, my shoulder is not getting better, and the more weight I seem to be carrying, the less I'm carrying, the better off it is for me.
And don't you agree with me that one of your goals is to have video recorded confrontations with law enforcement when you do this?
No. In my city, they actually don't have any body cams, and without having documentation, whether it be audio or video, it's my word against law enforcement's word. And I believe, I could be wrong, but the court usually sides with law enforcement until there's actually audio, video, or something that disproves what is being said by the law enforcement or whoever, the government official.
You've had about 40 you've been to about 40 open carry events, right?
It's probably in the hundreds at this point.
What do you consider an open carry event?
It's normally called as a gathering because we're just getting together to go fishing. It's not so much, it's kind of an event, but it's not, we don't call it an event. It's more like, hey, if you want to come fishing, come out fishing. So we consider it more of like a gathering, but you can call it an event, but that's not how I would term it.
And the people that you organize these open carry gatherings or events with, these are people that come in open carry guns, right?
Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them just want to come out and meet me, or just come out and show support for gun rights. Or I've had numerous gatherings where people just show up and they don't even have a gun.
In Bal Harbour, when Officer Conquest confronted you, you were by yourself, right?
Correct.
So would you call that an open carry event?
That was just me going out fishing. Like I said, all this is just going out fishing.
Did you indicate on any websites, social media pages, or YouTube pages that you were going to Bal Harbour to open carry?
I do not believe so.
Did you let anyone know you were going there that is involved in these open carry events?
Only, I believe, my wife at that time, so she knew where I was.
And you drove about 2.5 hours to fish in Bal Harbour?
Correct.
And you had the American Gadsden flag combo on you, right?
Correct.
And what fishing equipment did you have on you?
I had a 6.5 inch lure. I use it for snook fishing, grouper fishing, snapper fishing. I don't know, it's like 6 inches, about like that. And it's basically just a swim bait. It just like the tail wiggles and you throw it out, reel it in, and it wiggles.
Any live bait?
No live bait.
Any reason why you didn't have any live bait?
Once again, it's about weight. Normally when I go out to these, I either carry some squid or I carry artificial lures, as we would call them.
Do you need live bait to catch fish?
No,
Do you catch fish with that lure that you had that day?
absolutely. I've caught 40-inch fish with that lure.
All right. And when did you get to Bal Harbour?
I want to say it was around 10-ish, maybe 11-ish.
Where'd you park?
I parked on the north side of Bal Harbour. It was like Bal Harbour's on one side, I guess Miami, or I'm not sure the other side of the bridge where it is.
Or like a public parking lot?
It was the north side of that bridge, whatever park that is on the north side.
Hallover Park?
I guess. I couldn't tell you if it was Hallover Park or not. I just know that the two sides, the north side of that bridge, when I walked out, there's a sign at the tip of the inlet that says no fishing. And then like I said, I looked across the inlet and I saw people fishing. So I left from the north side and proceeded to the south side.
And what did you do when you got to the south side?
I didn't even get there. I got stopped on the bridge before I got anywhere near the inlet.
All right, so on this particular day, because you were stopped by Officer Conquest, you did not actually engage in any fishing then?
No, I did not. Well, on the other side. I threw the line, and I always, 90% of the time, whenever I go do these things, the first thing I do is get a line wet, just so I said, hey, I'm fishing. And then as soon as I threw the line from not at the inlet side, but from where I could fish on the north side, I then threw the line in the water, got it wet, reeled it in, and then proceeded to go over.
Was Officer Conquest present when you got the line wet?
No, nobody, there wasn't anybody. I think there was one other person on that side of the bridge that may have seen me. I don't even know if they saw me.
So when you say get the line wet, you can just throw it in for a second and then take it out?
Basically get started fishing. to say I was actually engaged in fishing.
And so that's, how long would that take for you to say your engagement, just a few seconds?
It probably took maybe a minute, like for me to throw it out in the water and then retrieve it and then, you know, bring it back up and go.
And you do that to say you were engaged in fishing because of the verbiage of the statute?
Correct.
But you agree with me that Officer Conquest never saw you engaged in fishing that day?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about 3H. And it says, one of the exceptions to open carry is, quote, a person engaged in fishing, camping, or lawful hunting. That's the first part, and then there's an or. So you agree with me, the first part would not apply since Officer Conquest never saw you engaged in fishing, camping, or lawful hunting, right?
I had a fishing pole in my hand.
Okay, but at the time that he saw you, you were not engaged in fishing, right?
No.
Okay. All right, so then we go to the second part of the statute.
Mm-hmm.
Or going to or returning from a fishing, camping, or lawful hunting expedition. All right. You agree with me that you are not on a camping expedition, right?
Correct.
And you are not on a hunting expedition.
Correct.
But it is your contention in this case that Officer Conquest lacked probable cause to arrest you because you were on a fishing expedition, right?
I was on my way to a fishing expedition.
What is a fishing expedition?
Going fishing. Just grabbing your fishing pole and saying, I'm going to whatever body of water and I'm gonna go and try to catch a fish.
You have a cell phone on you?
Yes.
If you go to Google right now and you Google definition of expedition, tell me what you get.
A journey or voyage undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration, scientific research, or war.
I'm gonna mark this as Exhibit 2. And what you read, you just read from your phone, right?
Yeah, that's the Google definition. Yes.
Right, when a citizen or someone wants to use Google to look up a word, and they put definition of expedition, that's what you get, right?
Correct.
And let me show you Exhibit 2. Is that exactly what you came up with on your phone?
Verbatim.
Okay. So if someone were to give a common sense Google definition meaning to a fishing expedition, it would be a fishing journey or fishing voyage undertaken by a group of people, right?
Okay.
Were you with a group of people when Officer Conquest arrested you?
Do I need to go fishing or an expedition of fishing? Does it have to be a group of people?
No, you could fish by yourself,
Yeah,
but according to 3H, you can't open carry when you're going to or coming from fishing by yourself because you're not on a fishing expedition. Don't you agree?
I would not, because it says a journey or voyage.
Right. So now,
you're trying to say about a group by a group of people.
So I just want to use the words that the Florida legislature used in the statute. They said the Florida legislature said you could open carry if you're going to or returning from a fishing expedition, right? So the legislature, in drafting this statute, they could have completely left out the word expedition if they wanted to. Don't you agree?
I could agree with that.
So the legislature could have said a person engaged in fishing, camping, or lawful hunting, or going to or returning from fishing, camping, or hunting. But they didn't. They put in an extra word, expedition, right?
Right.
And expedition, according to a common sense Google definition we just looked up, says a journey or voyage undertaken by a group of people.
Right.
Right. So don't you think it was reasonable for Officer Conquest to deem you not part of a fishing expedition since you were by yourself?
I would say, for me, no. Under this definition, it could be construed that way, but for me, you can't, under this definition, I would not say it doesn't help one person. you're saying I have to be with a group of people to go fishing, to consider an expedition?
Well,
yes.
Like we said, the legislature could have left off that word. They could have said just going to or returning from fishing, camping, or hunting, but they for whatever reason, the legislature decided to put in an additional requirement that the fishing be a fishing expedition. Clearly, that's in the statute, right?
It is definitely expeditions in the statute.
And a reasonable definition of expedition is something that's undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, right?
Correct.
All right. So Officer Conquest could have reasonably determined that when he saw you, you were not going to or returning from a fishing expedition. Don't you agree?
Can you
Yeah,
repeat the question?
It was reasonable for him to conclude that you were not going to or returning from a fishing expedition, right?
From the group of people, yes, I could see that, but
All right. Yeah. Some might define it differently, the broader way that you have it, where you can do it by yourself, but some other reasonable people might define it in a way where it requires a group of people, right?
yes.
All right. And let me attach Florida statute as Exhibit 3. Just want to make sure you agree that the part of 3H that I'm attaching to the record is the statute that you rely upon, right? The highlighted part.
Yeah.
All right. And how much weaponry did you have on you that day?
I believe it was a handgun and a AR pistol.
And Exhibit 4, is that a fair and accurate representation of the weaponry you had on you that day?
Yes.
All right. Let me show you Exhibit 5. Is that the bridge that you were arrested on?
I can't, it looks to be the down slope of the south side, but I can't verify if that's exactly where I was arrested.
You agree with me that the bridge where your arrest occurred is not a place where you could fish?
Yes, I saw the sign.
Okay, there's no fishing sign on the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a wall and a rocks down the end of the bridge?
At the end of the bridge?
Yeah.
Like, can you point to where,
Yeah, if you kept going.
if I kept going?
Were you walking north or south at the
I
time?
was going south.
South. If you kept walking south, do you know if there was rocks that extended out into the water?
I don't know, I never made it to that point.
Okay.
I was stopped on the bridge.
Let me show you Exhibit 6. You ever get to that area where the
No.
rocks come out over the water?
No.
All right. You agree, though, that Exhibit 6 is in Bell Harbor?
Oh, yeah, it says Bell Harbor.
Yeah, it says no fishing
From
from
rocks.
the rocks.
Correct.
All right. And then Exhibit 7, photograph taken at or about the time of your arrest. Bell
Never.
Harbor sign, no fishing from the wall or the rocks. Do you ever see that?
I never made it to that point, that day.
Is there a jetty in Bell Harbor?
Yes, there is.
How many jetties are there?
Well, it's just the one jetty as you walk out to the rocks.
Okay. And is it the rocks that we see in Exhibit 6 or different rocks?
The only rocks I see is, it seems from this is the north side, and that's where I went to go try to fish, but then this is the south side where, and once again, I don't really know specifically where this, I believe, is like as you walk up and there's a big giant wall. This seems to be facing, I'm not really sure. Once again, I don't know the direction this is being taken.
Okay. But you agree that there's only one jetty in Bell Harbor, right?
On the Bell Harbor side, and then there's there's the north side and the south side. That's how I always refer to them, is the north side and the south side.
All right. Do you know if, at the time of your arrest, if fishing was permitted on the jetty in Bell Harbor?
Fishing was permitted by the governor's order.
Okay. Did you encounter the sign that's on Exhibit 8?
The day I was released.
Okay. And what did that sign say about fishing on the jetty?
It was not allowed. This is the day after I was arrested. then I came in and saw this sign.
Okay. Well, if law enforcement officers or citizens of Bal Harbour were to testify that the sign that's on Exhibit 8 was there on the date of your arrest, you would have no basis to dispute that, would you?
Oh, no, I saw it the next day.
Yeah.
I was
okay.
there, I got video of that too.
Right, in other words, you're not saying that they just went and threw that out because you got arrested. That was, you understand that was there the whole time, right?
No, that sign's never been there the whole time. It only went there when COVID happened.
Right. But on the day of your arrest, it
The
was.
day of my arrest, it was there,
Yeah.
but the governor's order made that sign null and void.
All right. According to this sign in Bal Harbour, it's really hard for me to read this.
It says no fishing.
No fishing on the jetty, right? And do you have an understanding as to why Bal Harbour was prohibiting fishing on the jetty on the day of your arrest?
COVID.
Does that mean there was no fishing allowed anywhere in Bal Harbour?
There was no, at one point, there was no fishing, any kind of activities were completely shut down from Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, and Monroe. On, I believe it was March something 2020, the governor's order lifted saying fishing was an essential activity. And I want to say it was March of 2020.
Do you know if, your arrest was in 2021, right?
Correct.
Do you know if Bal Harbour was prohibiting fishing everywhere in Bal Harbour on the day of your arrest?
If it's accessible and you can fish, and I know prior to my arrest, people were fishing in Bal Harbour.
Right, what if you just went down to the beach and threw a line in the water? Do you know if that would have been prohibited?
I was on the beach maybe, but not at the jetty.
There were places on the video with you and Officer Conquest, I'm sure you've seen it numerous times, and I've watched it as well, where you told him you were intending to fish, right?
Yep.
And were any of those locations areas that were allowed to be fished in by Bal Harbour that day?
On that day?
Yes.
To my knowledge, yes.
Which one?
All, like everywhere except for the places that said no fishing. And I knew there were signs, like right off the walls, right when you walk in, there's signs clear as day as you walk in. But I knew that that area of the jetty I was going to had numerous people had been fishing there for years before I had even been there. So.
And had you not been stopped by Officer Conquest, you were gonna go out on that jetty and cast a line with an AR-15 strapped to your body?
Until I ran across the sign that says there was no fishing, and that would be the same thing, principles of trespassing. If you see a sign that says no trespassing and you go beyond it, then you're breaking the law.
Right.
If I would have seen a sign that said no fishing, I would have turned around, mind you, at the inlet, not so much, if I'm not fishing off of seawall, it would have been one thing, but if I would have gone into the park and seen that one sign that you showed me, I would have turned around and walked right back to where I could have gone fishing.
And do you have any understanding as to where you could have gone fishing that day in light of the sign prohibiting fishing on the jetty?
Yep.
Where's that?
That was on the north side of the bridge, or north side of the inlet, not at the jetty itself, but if you look at the north side, underneath, not so much underneath, but there's a seawall that extends from like the bridge and it extends out, and there's a fish, I guess I would say a fishing area that's not prohibited on that side.
All right, you're referring to Executive Order 20-91
I believe so.
and 2089.
I
Those are the
believe
ones you
so.
cited in your complaint. Had you ever fished in Bal Harbour?
Many years ago when I was young. I was probably like maybe 15 or 16.
Do you have any understanding as to what the population of Bal Harbour is? Who lives in Bal Harbour?
No.
Now, did you select Bal Harbour because you wanted to scare people with your AR-15?
My intention is never to scare anybody.
And you know Bal Harbour is an upscale community where people go and eat in expensive, nice restaurants and expensive shops, right?
my constitutional rights don't stop at somebody else's feelings, you know what I mean? Like, I can, like, I shouldn't be afraid to express a Second Amendment right. It doesn't matter. It could be, I stood in front of Trump Towers in West Palm. So to say that me doing X, Y, or Z is going to make the whole world scared, I'm sorry. If that makes you scared, I get it. I get it.
How was the flag that we see in Exhibit 1, how was that displayed, if at all, at the time that you were encountered by Officer Conker?
It was just flying.
And where was your fishing pole at the time?
I believe it was attached. I had the fishing pole and the flag both in my left hand, and I had a camera in my right.
And you agree with me that at the time you were flying the flag because you wanted to draw attention to yourself as someone expressing your constitutional rights?
Absolutely.
And if an officer encountered you, it would be reasonable to observe you as someone who was there to make a political statement, don't you think?
I'm not out there making a political statement. I'm not out there preaching for Donald Trump. I'm not out there preaching for Biden. I'm not preaching for anybody. I'm just out there expressing a constitutional right. And
You were engaged in an expression of Second Amendment rights.
correct.
And you were expressing your Second Amendment right by openly carrying an assault rifle and the Gadsden flag.
I don't have an assault rifle.
What is an AR-15?
It's a armor light.
I know AR does not stand for
Okay.
assault rifle. I've
Well,
looked at it.
you keep referring to it as an assault rifle, and it's just a semi-automatic rifle. Or actually, it's not even a rifle, it's a pistol.
So you call an AR-15 a semi-automatic pistol?
The firearm I was carrying is a pistol.
All right. So let me take
Classified by ATF and all them, it's considered a pistol, not a rifle.
Okay. So you were expressing, you were engaged in an active expression of your Second Amendment rights by virtue of having a highly visible AR-15 strapped to your chest and carrying a Gadsden flag, right?
Absolutely.
And do you have any reason to believe that any Val Harbor law enforcement officers observed you fishing or wetting your lure that day?
At the time, no, it was not possible, because if I would have been, my line would have been in the water, I've been breaking the law.
And in your mind, did it matter what type of fishing pole or fishing equipment you had on you that day to consider yourself as going fishing?
No.
If you had a fishing net in your pocket, would that have been good enough?
By law, yes.
And you had a little pocket fisherman that can only catch little minnow-sized fish, that'd be good enough?
Those pocket fishermen, there's YouTube videos of them catching 50-pound fish on a pocket fisherman. So you can try to make that analogy, but some of the biggest fish are caught on the smallest rods.
Right. So just to get your interpretation of the breadth of the statute, as long as someone is going to fish, no matter what fishing equipment they have, as long as they do it in an area that's permitted, public land, they can open carry.
As long as they're lawfully allowed to possess said firearm, as long as they have a valid fishing license, unless it's a free fishing weekend, and they're lawfully allowed to be in that area to fish, 100%.
Did you spend any money on the attorney?
Objective forum, but yes, I did.
Well, if you're not claiming it in this case, then I don't need to know. Are you claiming? Are you claiming in this case to be reimbursed for a criminal defense attorney?
No.
Okay, then I don't care.
Okay.
So as far as damages, how do you feel that you have been damaged? You spent 24 hours in custody, right?
Correct.
And how did you spend that time?
Wide awake, making sure I wasn't going to get jumped, beat up, or anything like that.
Since your release, have you gone for any type of counseling, psychological, anything
No.
like that?
No, I have not.
Do you have any intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, or bad memories from being incarcerated?
Yes.
And tell us about those.
It's not so much about the incarceration, it's more about the arrest.
And tell us how that arrest has affected you emotionally.
Basically, every time I see a law enforcement officer, I feel like I'm going to be arrested because they didn't understand the law. And I deal with that every time.
And even in light of this arrest, have you continued to open carry while fishing throughout the state of Florida with a GoPro?
Yes,
And do you make money by doing this?
yes.
Because you post it to your YouTube channel and people watch your videos, right?
Yes, YouTube monetizes me, yes.
How many people subscribe to your YouTube channel?
As of today, about 80,000.
Oh, wow. Do they have to pay for that?
No, they don't even have to subscribe. They just,
Hit a like button or something like that?
they just have to watch the video.
Oh,
So it could be as simple as hitting subscribe doesn't get me any money. It just notifies you when I make a video. Hitting the like creates an algorithm, and the more likes I get, the more that video gets out there. But I technically don't make any money until they actually watch the video. So there's no, I can't force it on people, and I can't make them pay for it. I just put it out there, and they wanna watch it, they watch it.
How many videos do you have on your YouTube channel?
I've hundreds. At this point, I couldn't tell you I have 2 different channels, and I think one channel has like 200 to 300 videos, and the other one's getting up there too.
Vast majority of you open carrying while fishing?
Open carry, government accountability stuff. Sometimes it's just, it's actually some of the kayak fishing. That's how my channel started. My YouTube channel name is Solo Yacker, and it started out with solo kayaking. I was a solo kayaker, and that's how I got Solo Yacker from.
As far as any out-of-pocket money, other than the $200 for the bond, or you or your wife, out of pocket, any money as a result of this incident with Officer Conkers?
The parking ticket that I occurred when my card was on the other side of the bridge, and they ticketed me for that as well.
How much that set you back?
I don't know, probably like 20 to 50 bucks or something. I don't know. It wasn't substantial enough, but it's more or less. Anytime I see a law enforcement officer come at me the way he did, it just rushes back that memory, and you know, in most of my videos, I'm a really nice guy until pushed, and then I will push back.
In the Miami Beach video, you had about half a dozen officers coming at you with guns drawn, pointed at you, didn't you?
Yeah.
And they put you in handcuffs?
Yep.
And they hurt your shoulder?
Yep.
You called them a bunch of fucking clowns, right?
Yeah, and I believe I did call Conquest and his officers a bunch of clowns too. Because once again, he didn't care about my rights. He didn't. If you actually watch the video and I'm like, hey, what's this? He's like, I don't know what that is. When I asked him a specific statute number, and he says he doesn't know what 901-151 is, that's an issue, because that's what crime am I? There's suspicion. You come out like, hey, we got a suspicious call. I'm going fishing. I've just dispelled your suspicion. Your suspicion's done with once I say I'm going fishing. But it wasn't over. He wanted to take my magazine. He wanted to know who I voted for. There was a sticker on my gun that said, I voted. He's like, who'd you vote? What does me voting and who I voted for have to do with anything? I could have voted for Biden, and what did that change?
Wouldn't change anything.
It wouldn't have changed anything.
Right.
And that's why that's the issue, right? Or for me, that's the underlying problem, is that he didn't care about my rights. All he cared about was taking my gun and doing what he had to do to figure out whatever.
Are you privy to the information that was communicated to him that led him to
I never received that. I've never received a 911 call.
You want me to send it to you so you can hear it?
Yes, please.
Would it surprise you to know that there were ladies that were scared of what you were doing?
Sure.
Okay.
I trust me. I do records requests. I've got numerous 911 calls on my channel, and I get people get scared.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't blame the people. My problem is law enforcement and how they came at me. And there was a sergeant there was another officer from another count, I think the other side of the bridge. There's all these people, and they're just telling me, oh, it's public order. Oh, it's because you got a gun. I get it, I have a gun, but I'm carrying it lawfully. And it is 6 minutes and I was arrested. The video's in 6 minutes, I was in cuffs and getting put in the back of the car.
You were asked your name, right?
Yeah,
And did you not want to tell him your name for some reason?
I think I did tell him my name, but they asked me for my ID and I said I don't have to. And that's where 901.151 of the Florida statute comes into effect. What crime am I committing? And if I've committed a crime, by law, I have to produce it. Just because you have a suspicion that I might be committing a crime, unless you know I've committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or have committed that crime, I don't have to show you. That's Florida law.
Did you have your ID with you?
I did. I had driver's license, fishing license, everything. Anything and everything that could have identified me, I had. And as soon as they arrested me, I was like, yep, here you go. It's all yours.
All right. Then you were searched incidental to arrest, right? After you were arrested?
I don't remember when I was under arrest. I remember the handcuffs going on and then them searching.
Okay. I
I don't remember them saying you're under arrest or any rights being read or anything. But I definitely remember handcuffs went on and they were digging into my pockets and finding whatever.
All right. All right, well, I don't have any other questions for you. We can go off the record. Well, let's do read a waive on the record.
Yeah, how would the witness like to handle reading time?
What was it?
I'll explain to him. So under Florida law, when you give a deposition, you have the right to read the transcript to see if the court reporter got everything down accurately, or you can waive that right and allow her to produce the transcript without you reading it. I mean, you do have a video backup, but it's up to you.
At this point, all I need is the record of the transcript when you're done, and just, is it something that you can produce for me? Or is he gonna, or you're
The
gonna send it
company
him?
will. Well, if you wanted a copy, then you could order a copy. If he
Okay.
wants it, he'll get the original.
Okay. Then one way or the other, I'll get it, whether it be going through you or,
So it's actually confirmed that on the record. Will you be ordering the transcript today?
I am ordering it.
Ordering, and then you'd like a copy then?
correct.
Okay.
All right. Off the record,
Turn this off real quick.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind if
let me
you
shut 'em all
record what I'm saying. You wanted to question Conquest, but you hit traffic today. I asked him, flight still says delayed. I asked him if he could make himself available on Monday, and I can send out a Zoom link.
Just,
Do you have any sort of work schedule you gotta deal with on Monday?
I work YouTube. I don't really have a work
So-
schedule, it's just,
So you know what I'll do? I'll contact him over the weekend, and I'll generate a Zoom link,
okay.
and like for like 1:30, is that a good time?
Whatever,
He's on
whatever,
duty.
yeah, whatever's good for him. I'm not trying to, I know he has his job and he has to do whatever's good for him.
You
Today
can
was
do it
just,
on duty.
yeah, today was just a bad day, rain came and,
Yeah, he'll do it on duty, so I'll send out a Zoom link for 1:30. I am not going to hire a court reporter to be there for that, so you can record on Zoom, I guess. I can.
most anything that's documented on video is admissible in court. Long as there's some,
No, I understand how the rules of evidence work, and
Yeah.
I've tried many federal cases. But I just want to get you to know, I'm not hiring a court reporter for you, so I'll generate the Zoom link and I'll get him on Zoom and you connect and you're on Zoom. But as to how you record it or duplicate it, I'll leave that to you.
okay.
Maybe your computer can record it.
Yeah, no, I've got really good computers.
Yeah, so you do
Yeah.
it.
I've actually got three spellings that I need to confirm. I heard an Eric Friday. Is it actually spelled
Yeah.
like the day of the week?
Correct.
And is it Eric with a C or K?
C.
Okay, and there was two more. I believe was Mark Stout,
MARC,
M-A-R-C, Stout, S-T-O-U-T.
STOUT, correct.
Gotcha. And then the last one was Stephen Jenkins. I wrote it down Jenkins.
Correct.
So Jenkins, and Stephen is S-T-E-V-N.
Yes.
Okay. I know sometimes people do the PH.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me.
I was very time pressed because I have a flight tonight, but my flight's delayed. Boarding starts.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I understand. We all have our things going, and
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your time. I
It's
really do.
almost summer, so